much has been made over trying to create mental environments where we're like, yeah, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for it. I'm more interested in what allows us to do that on a consistent basis. The other way that I would say to shift mood and away from fear using the body is a kind of unusual one, but I'll share it now so that, as you can tell, I'm not just about, I like to think I'm not just about theory. I want people to have practices they can go to right now, zero cost, pre-installed. Mother Nature has the patent. So, pay her there's no website to go to pay for this. Basically, you can thank her for this. So there was a discovery made in the 80s that I thought was crazy. There's a woman named Francine Shapiro who was a psychologist, clinical psychologist, actually down here in Palo Alto. And she realized that when she was walking in the woods or something like that, the story goes, that her stress would kind of subside a bit. You kind of go, well, duh, taking a walk feels good. But she actually realized that some very traumatic things could be reframed more easily when she was doing that. Now, she had the insight to bring to the clinic with her patients this practice of moving the eyes from side to side, so-called EMDR, eye movement desensitization reprocessing. Excuse me. It literally looks like this. It looks crazy, but it's moving my eyes side to side, head stationary, not up and down, just side to side. Now, the idea was that if people recalled traumas or just simply did this, that they would feel calmer and happier. And people, I'm a lab, we work on vision, we work on stress. People would ask me about EMDR. I was like, this is crazy. Like, this is the same people that come to me and they're like, have you ever tried tapping? And they're like, people will come to me and they're like, have you ever tried whatever, in this like very spa-like voice? People are like, have you ever? It's amazing. And most of the time I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Sounds like an amazing example of the placebo effect or self-belief or whatever, but I just kind of back away from it. Then 2 years ago, I was asked to review a series of papers for excellent journals, Neuron, Cell, Nature. These are like the Super Bowl rings of scientific publishing, showing that these lateralized eye movements back and forth, actually suppress the activity of the amygdala, a brain center that's involved in threat detection. And I was like, oh my God, she might have actually been right. Then another paper. Now, I have no stake in EMDR, okay? I'm not involved with it. I don't do it. I don't, but I thought this is wild because these were labs that were studying eye movements. They weren't even studying emotions. So why would eye movements like this actually trigger suppression of the amygdala and make people feel calm and happier? Well, those eye movements are what you do reflexively when you move through an environment through self-generated motion, or what we call self-generated optic flow. So walking, running, cycling, any bodily motion where you're moving forward generates this optic flow, and your eyes just reflexively do this a little bit and quiet the amygdala. It is very likely that this is Mother Nature's way of suppressing our fear response when we're moving forward. In other words, sitting there in a chair and being stressed or looking at the news or thinking about the things that you need to do is way more stressful than forward movement toward any goal. And so this probably relates to a very ancient system where, like, an animal would maybe wake up from sleep and feel thirsty, and it would need to move. If it doesn't move, it's not going to get water. So what does it do? It gets this pulse of adrenaline. And now it's, its whole focus, its whole world, its pupils are dilated, which allows it to look at single things more specifically than others, is looking for water. As long as it's moving forward, there's no need to have that fear response, that adrenaline response, because that's costly. And we can talk about why you don't want adrenaline too high for too long. So the beauty of this is that if somebody is feeling too stressed, again, rather than trying to limit your stress by just thinking, use the nervous system, do physiological size, try these lateralized eye movements for a quick moment. It's true in mice, it's true in monkeys, and it's true in humans that the amygdala starts suppressing its activity. You're literally controlling the fear response through an ancient mechanism.
At Project Family, how's it going? Now, as you guys know, we have been talking about cold therapy for a while. Mark, Andrew, and myself, we all use cold plunge XLs since we're pretty big. Mm-hmm. But the cold plunge is amazing. And there are a lot of cold therapy tools out there. Obviously, you can use your shower. But the amazing thing about the cold plunge is, number one, it doesn't take up much space in your home or your backyard. And number two, You don't need to change your water, unlike other cold therapy devices, for 6 months to a year. It filters itself. Let's not even talk about all the benefits of cold plunging, like the dopamine release, how good you feel after doing it, and just the cascade of hormones that happens after you get in some really cold water. It's crazy, and we love it. So, Andrew, how can they get it?
Absolutely. You guys got to head over to thecoldplunge.com, and at checkout, enter promo code PowerProject to save $150 off your very own cold plunge. Again, thecoldplunge.com, links to them down in the description, as well as the podcast show notes.
So I find this fascinating because what we're starting to see, work from my lab, sure, but also I'm gleaning from other labs' work as well, is these core elements of the way that we're built, that were designed, to deal with tigers. And, we always hear that, we were in caves and we were being chased by tigers. I actually don't think that happened that often. How many tigers were there really? It was probably more like the daily stressors of, I need food. I got a baby on the way. I don't actually have a baby on the way, but the cave person is like, I've got a baby on the way. I need resources. That's going to be stressful. How do you deal with that stress? You move forward. And so I think much has been made over trying to create mental environments where we're like, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for it. From a scientific perspective, I'm more interested in what allows us to do that on a consistent basis. I would say you can be flat-footed, back on your heels, or center of mass forward. What allows us to be center of mass forward? What's so easy to say, but it's harder to do. So if you're feeling stressed or defocused and kind of scattered, control your nervous system, bring it down a notch. Try a couple, just maybe 5 or 10 lateralized eye movements, bringing your nervous system to a state where now you're in forward motion. And even better, once a day, self-generate optic flow, run, walk, even just simple walking. Even if you're on a walker, you're like disabled, like excuse the language. I know it's not whatever the politically correct language is, unable, whatever it is, move forward. Just move forward in space. Don't look at your phone while you're doing it, because then you're going to eliminate those lateralized eye movements. So anyway, I answered your question again in a very long kind of monologue, but hopefully that explains this circuit in the brain that goes from eye movements to amygdala to suppress the threat response, and that people could use to move forward. I'm not aware of too many people putting this into practice in sports just yet. I always say, I don't ever want to tamper with somebody's game. I'm not going to tell a golfer or a sniper what to do with their eyes, but I will tell them what to do maybe between so-called reps and sets, or between matches, or, so these things can be used anytime. And you do need eyes open, so it's not going to work with eyes closed, because there's a feedback loop from vision that quiets the amygdala. But anyway, I'll pause there.
Hey, baby. I'm joking. Guys, like, comment, subscribe, and head to the Power Project Discord, all right? I know you enjoyed the video. Speak to y'all soon.